Okay, let's dive right in. How is it possible that just a few super simple lines of text can create a masterpiece of pure suspense? That's what we're going to do today. We're going to deconstruct this tiny little story, The Shadow Against the Wall, to really get into the anatomy of fear, to see how sometimes saying less is way more terrifying than showing some big monster. So, let's start with the story itself. It all begins with a time, 3:17 a.m. You know, that dead hour of the night when the whole world is supposed to be completely still. And notice how precise it is, not around 3, but exactly 3:17. Then, the next line lays down a simple fact, an empty space. So the stage is set with a void, a total, complete absence of life. And finally, darkness, complete and total. So what do we have? We've got a specific time, an empty house, and no light. It's a perfect vacuum. Nothing in, nothing out. So this first part, the exposition, it does something really masterful. It sets up what I like to call the rule of the night. It establishes the basic physics of this quiet, empty world, which makes what's about to happen feel like a fundamental violation of reality itself. So, and this is the crucial point. These really simple facts create this sterile, predictable environment. You have a time, an empty location, and darkness. Logically, in a dark, empty house, there can be no shadow, right? This is the first rule that's about to be completely shattered. The story introduces something that just shouldn't exist. And here it is. The story says, at the same time on the same wall, a shadow appeared. The repetition in that phrase, at the same time on the same wall, that is so key. See, this isn't just some random event. This introduces a dreadful, inescapable ritual. Something is happening, and it's happening on a schedule. Okay, so now that the impossible has shown up, the story kicks into its rising action, and it introduces the single most terrifying element you can add to a scene like this: movement. So simple. But the shadow, it was moving. And just like that, boom, that one phrase completely shatters the sterile safety of that initial scene. What was just a weird but static image is now an active threat. All that predictable stillness is just gone, and it's replaced by this feeling of an inevitable creeping approach. And the movement isn't random either. Oh no, it's methodical. It's purposeful. First to the door, then to the bed. This progression is absolutely brilliant. It's closing the distance, moving from the edge of the room, the way out, to the most vulnerable and intimate space there is, the bed, where you would be sleeping. All right, so we've established the rules, then we introduced a ritualistic threat that moves with a clear purpose. Now we're at the climax, where the final, and maybe the most terrifying rule of all is about to be broken. So, the last night, the shadow was no longer on the wall. The story presents this as a statement, but it just hangs there in the air like a question, doesn't it? If it's not on the wall, then where is it? And then, the story answers. Because it was behind you. That last line is just a punch to the gut. So the question is, how did the story pull that off so effectively? Let's pull back the curtain for a second and look at the real anatomy of this fear. There are 3 really specific techniques at play here. First up, you've got the hypnotic power of repetition. Second, the incredible impact of minimalism. And finally, the masterstroke, breaking the fourth wall. You know that phrase, at the same time, makes the threat feel totally inescapable, like clockwork. It's not a monster that might show up, it's an appointment with fear. This whole ritualistic thing is a classic horror trope, and for good reason. It just completely removes the possibility of escape. Next up is minimalism. I mean, think about it. What does the shadow look like? Who lives in this house? We have no idea. The story gives us absolutely nothing, and that's its genius. By saying less, the author forces our own minds to do all the heavy lifting, to paint the picture with our own deepest, most personal fears. And this is the knockout punch, right here. The story suddenly stops talking about a house or the shadow, and it starts talking to you. That final phrase, behind you, just yanks you out of your comfy, safe position as an observer and throws you right into the story as the victim. The threat is no longer in some fictional room, it's in your room, right now. And this illustrates the main takeaway just perfectly. See, true effective horror isn't really about gore or jump scares. It's psychological. It's about using language to bypass our rational minds and plant a little seed of fear that we ourselves grow into a monster. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What truly scares us more? The monster we can actually see right there in front of us, or the one we can only imagine just over our shoulder, right behind us?